Next, the Muslim Brotherhood movement is a threat to national cohesion in France. That's the key finding from a report submitted to President Emmanuel Macron today. In the 73-page-long document, French intelligence services are sounding the alarm over the Muslims in France Union, which is seen as the national branch of the Muslim Brotherhood in the country. The report calls on authorities to take action to stop the spread of, quote, political Islam. Andrew Hillier tells us more.
A long-term threat to national cohesion. That's how a 73-page report prepared by two senior civil servants describes the threat of the Muslim Brotherhood in France. It warns against the subtle but subversive spread of the movement's ideology.
The reality of this threat, even if it is long-term and does not involve violent action, is that it poses a risk of damage to the fabric of society and republican institutions, and, more broadly, to national cohesion.
According to the report, the movement's goal isn't to foment a violent form of separatism, but rather to bring about changes to the rules from the bottom up by spreading its ideology at the local level, what it calls a form of municipal Islamism. The report says that could threaten values such as secularism or equality between men and women. Bruno Retailleau, France's hardline interior minister, was quick to seize on the contents of the report.
There exists an insidious Islamism which spreads by seeking to infiltrate sporting, cultural, social and other organisations. This is an attempt by the Muslim Brotherhood to turn French society over to Sharia law.
But the report's authors say there's no evidence the Muslim Brotherhood is trying to enforce any form of Sharia law in France. It did say that more and more young girls were wearing the traditional Muslim abaya robe. On Tuesday evening, Gabriel Attal's Renaissance party called for a ban on the wearing of veils in public spaces for girls under the age of 15. According to media reports, the Elysee Palace has called for a measured response that may include dismantling certain organisations suspected of spreading political Islamism.
Well, France 24's international affairs editor, Philip Tell, joins me on set now to tell us more about this. Philip, tell us about what's in this report exactly.
Right, let's break it down a little bit, shall we? This is a report that has taken over a year to compile. It's 73 pages long. It's available on the internet. Anybody can have a look at it since earlier today. There's a historical part about the origins of the Muslim Brotherhood since its creation in 1928. And little by little, its arrival on the European continent. And one of the findings of the report is that it says that it's sort of running out of speed in the Muslim world, but gaining in importance in the Western world, notably in Europe, where it first came to France, to Belgium, and to the United Kingdom. Now, within that report, it says that over the past 10 to 20 years, its importance in France has grown, and to such a point now that it's described as having a tentacular grasp on certain aspects of France, particularly in the north of the country, in the centre of France, around the area of Lyon, in the southern part of France, and in eastern France, where it has more areas that it has adepts who are spreading the Muslim Brotherhood word. So what they're saying is that there are about 139 Muslim places of worship which have links to the Muslim Brotherhood in France, in over 55 departments. Remember, there are 95 departments in mainland France. 7% of the 2,800 places of worship are by almost certainly all of them are run by supporters of the Muslim Brotherhood, with 10% of them open between 2010 and 2020. And 91,000 Muslims in France are believed to be affiliated to the Muslim Brotherhood. So it does blow the whistle, saying that this is a fairly alarming development, but compared to the large numbers of Muslims in France, like 5 million or so, this is a very small number. But this report has come along at a time when there is concern about the rise of Islamic fundamentalism in France. There is still a lot of worry and shock about the terrorist attacks that France had in 2015 and more recently as well, when dozens of people were killed. So this report has come at a time when I think people are concerned about the spread of Islamic fundamentalism and particularly the rise of importance of the Muslim Brotherhood.
Well, what's reaction been like to some of the findings in this report?
Well, the reaction has been pretty strong. First of all, the the President, Emmanuel Macron, has said that there will be measures taken to try to undermine the importance of the Muslim Brotherhood, basically by schools, by universities, by social media, which is seen as a very important way of conveying the message, the hardline message to young people. That is one of the aspects, trying to undermine the funding also of these groups within France, closing down mosques that are deemed to be too hard line and stopping preachers who are preaching a line that doesn't coincide with that of the French Republic. It's difficult to know how they're actually going to do that, but there have been certain closures over the past year or so. As far as the other reactions are concerned, we heard the one of Gabriel Attal, the former Prime Minister, who wants to ban the wearing of veils by young girls under the age of 15. Other parties in France want to ban the wearing of the veil in public spaces completely. There have been efforts to try to do that over the past, but so far they've come to nothing. And the Interior Minister, Bruno Retailleau, who is well known for standing up and being very vociferous about the threat of Muslim fundamentalism in France, has welcomed a report saying that it is what he described as insidious Islamism in France. So I think what we're seeing here is basically scrambling ahead of an electoral period. There is an election coming up, municipal elections coming up fairly shortly in France. In 2 years' time, there are the presidential elections. We don't know who is going to run, but Bruno Retailleau, who's well known for being quite outspoken on far-right issues, although he is now the president of the Conservative Republican Party, is a favourite for running in that presidential poll. So this report coming out now is trying to, I think, show that the government is doing something to try to combat that, to try to combat the rise of the far right and the national rally of Marine Le Pen, which has been very outspoken about the threat to France from Islamic fundamentalists. It all depends how this is going to play out. And one other thing I think which is quite important to say is that Jean-Luc Mélenchon from the far left has come out and said this is a terrible report which is going to hinder Muslims in France, because he's quite keen to pull in the Muslim vote for him, because he'd also like to run for president in 2 years' time.
Really interesting. Philip, great to get your thoughts. Thank you so much for that.